Hi, my name is George Daniel. Today, for our blog, instead of doing a written blog, we're going to do a video blog of one of my favorite streamer patterns called the Sculp Snack. Sculp Snack is a simple variation of a woolly bugger. Two-tone effect, and I tie this to represent sculpin patterns, even though you can use any color scheme you want. But this olive over tan is a good scheme that works well for me on any of the waters that harbor sculpin patterns. So to get started, what we're going to do, we have our hook. It's a size 4 B10S, and we're going to have a medium black tungsten cone head. And to give the fly a little more weight, a little more jigging motion, especially right now with the higher water, we're going to be fishing some of the deeper pockets, deeper runs that the fish are holding, and they're not going to be really chasing. So I need something that's going to be dropping like a rock, and I can basically just kind of manipulate the fly with the rod tip and hold the fly in front of the fish as long as I possibly can. So to do this right, we're going to add about 10 wraps, and when we're wrapping this lead wire, we're going to be snugging this up underneath the cone head. I don't want to really wrap tight, because essentially what we're doing is we're going to be making nice, fairly tight wraps, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what we're going to do is we want to make sure that the lead wire is on the hook shank, but not too tight that we can't slide. We're going to take one or two drops of head cement, or super glue in this case, right in front of the cone, behind the cone, in front of the lead wire, and just snug in there. Add a little more weight to the fly, but also that lead wire is going to help secure the cone head from sliding back. The thread that we're using is just a 6/0. For most of my streamers, it's going to be a 6/0, 210 denier or heavier. Thread color doesn't really matter in my opinion all that much, because we're going to be hiding the thread wraps behind the cone when we're finishing up the fly. So for the tail, we're going to have two tones. And if you look at baitfish, sculpins, any of those patterns that or prey that we're trying to imitate, they often have a lighter bottom and a darker top. So the key here is remembering that instead of using one entire plume, we're going to be using two separate plumes. So we're going to use basically half of what we normally do, because we're using two pieces of marabou that we're going to be stacking on top of one another. The B10S is a fairly short shank hook. We're going to go about 1 1/4 times, maybe 1 1/2 times the length of the hook shank. And just wrap this down. Now when you see what I'm doing right here, I'm already making a mistake. When I wrap this marabou, I want the marabou to stack straight on top of the hook shank. I don't want it turning off to the side. So when I'm applying pressure, I'm going to make a couple loose wraps, but when I apply pressure, I'm applying it straight down or straight up. That's going to get the material to get pulled straight on top of the hook shank. Next, we're going to go with the light olive. Same process. Tie right on top. A couple looser wraps. Pull down tight, straight down. Hopefully marry that marabou right on top of one another. Okay. Cut that flush. We're going to add a little bling. And for the bling, what we're going to be using is the mirror crinkle flash made by Orvis. Get 2 strands. These are fairly longer strands. I'm using the entire length, and I'm going to take 2 strands and I'm going to fold them over. So what we're going to be doing is getting the 2, because we're doubling over, turns into 4. Bring it 4 strands. Now we gotta get a longer strand here, George. Okay. Fold this in half. We're going to tie this off to one side first. We'll start with your side first. Okay. Tie that right down off the side. A couple loose wraps we can adjust, we can pull, as long as it's not too tight, we can adjust the length. Right there, good. 4 strands on that side. Now we're just going to take scissors and cut it. So we're on the other side. We can fold these materials on the other side now. Okay. So we have our crinkle flash mirror Just a little bling to add to the fly. Next, and you'll see this is a very simple pattern, nothing complicated about this. We're going to add polar chenille, UV polar chenille. This is just olive. Start with the other side here. Now with this material, one of the things I've found is once we secure this and tie this in, we're going to wrap one wrap right next to the other. Secure that, and I'll go up to the cone. You need to stretch this core out. After you stretch out the core, you can wet your fingers a little bit, but just pull the fibers so they're to the one side. Now we're going to make one wrap right to the other. And just remember, every time you're wrapping, the material, the core will be twisting and turning. So often you might have to stop, just re-stretch, and just continue wrapping. It's not critical that every strand stands straight up, because we have a brush we can pull out, but we don't want to mat all the materials down. It's going to make it difficult to pull those fibers out. So as long as the majority of the fibers are standing up, we can take our comb and comb them out here at the end, which we'll show you how to do. Now when we're wrapping, we're going to leave ourselves a gap. We have a room probably for another maybe 1.5 wraps. We don't want to fill that gap. We are actually going to be we're going to be tying our legs and our laser dub, but we want a little bit of a pinch or a little bit of a valley so we can snug that material down in there. If I wrap all the way up to the cone and then tie my laser dub and legs, I'm going to be tying on top and creating a bulk out and above the cone. So just leave a little bit of gap there. Secure this, go back and forth, around, lock that in. If you want to, you can do a 1/2 inch at this point, but I'm not. Okay. So to maintain the two-tone theme, what we have here, we're going to take some laser dub, just a small pinch, smaller fly, we don't need a whole lot. And we're going to just take this and pinch this. Now we're going to pull out the fibers on either side, making sure that when the fish, if we do rake through a trout's mouth, we're not going to pull all these fibers out, so at least we have a good strong bundle here. Okay, we're going to go underneath, tan marabou on the bottom, tan laser dub on the bottom as well. Pinch, lock that in, secure. Next, we're going to take our light olive laser dub to match with the light olive marabou in the back. Pinch, about split the difference halfway, and fold that back. Okay. Now to finish off the fly, we're going to take silly legs, barred pumpkin, 2 strands off the skirt. We're going to tie this in off to the side. We're going to go about halfway down the length of the tail. Lock that in. And you can secure that and trim that off and then cut, apply on the other side. But what I like keeping the legs one piece, because again, when this fly goes raking through the bottom of the stream bottom or over a trout's mouth, I find that if you cut the strands and then attach them to the other side, it's not one piece, and there's a tendency of the material falling out. So by just securing one end, and then what we're going to do with that ridge is just slide this over to the other side and go around it, but we'll lock it in. This way it's one piece, and there's far less likelihood of the legs getting pulled out. Just kind of hold that. And remember, when we're cutting these legs, don't stretch when you're trying to cut off. Just keep them fairly loose and then make your cut. Otherwise, you'll find yourself cutting the legs far shorter than what you want them to be. And right there, we're going to take our whip finish. Lock that in. And just to distribute the laser dub a little bit evenly around, we're going to take our brush, comb out these fibers. Right there is just one of my favorite streamer patterns called Sculp Snack. So it's done well for me on my local waters and some of the places I've traveled. So it's easy, a couple minute tie, it works well, and I hope it does the same for you. And thanks for watching. Take care.